The dialectical nature of change, Hegel and beyond. What does it mean to be human in the age of technology? What does it mean to live in a world where our thoughts, desires, and behaviors are increasingly shaped by the very technologies we create? What if, in our quest to control the world through machines, we are unknowingly letting those same machines redefine who we are? In the age of artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and pervasive surveillance, these questions are more than theoretical. They strike at the very heart of human existence. Technology, once seen merely as a tool to serve us, has now become an active force that mediates and influences our sense of self. So, what happens to human identity when we confront the contradictions embedded in our relationship with technology? Today we're going to explore the dialectical nature of technology and human identity. We'll delve into how technological progress creates fundamental contradictions between autonomy and control, between privacy and connectivity, and how these contradictions are reshaping our understanding of what it means to be human in the 21st century. To approach this question philosophically, let's first ground ourselves in dialectical thinking. At the heart of dialectics is the understanding that change is driven by contradictions. The dialectic isn't just about opposites. It's about how those opposites are interrelated and how, through their tension, they create a dynamic process of development. The German philosopher Hegel taught us that the dialectic unfolds through three stages: thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. But importantly, the synthesis doesn't resolve the contradiction once and for all. It absorbs it, incorporating the tension into a higher form. Technology, in this sense, is a dialectical force in our lives. On one hand, it promises to extend human power, freedom, and potential. On the other, it threatens to reshape human existence in ways we cannot entirely control. This tension between our mastery over technology and technology's mastery over us mirrors the dialectical process itself. Hegel's notion of becoming is key here. Technology is never static. It is always unfolding, always shifting. And as it evolves, it creates contradictions that we must engage with. These contradictions aren't just inconveniences, they shape the very essence of our experience as human beings. Let's dive into the first major dialectical tension technology creates: autonomy versus control. On the surface, technology promises freedom. The internet connects us to a world of knowledge, social media gives us a platform to express ourselves, and automation frees us from mundane labor. But we must ask ourselves, does this freedom come at a cost? When we speak of autonomy, we often mean the ability to act independently, to make choices free from external interference. Technology, especially in the form of algorithms, surveillance, and artificial intelligence, has created a paradoxical situation. It grants us unprecedented freedoms, yet at the same time it conditions our choices, curates our experiences, and subtly shapes our desires. For instance, algorithms on platforms like YouTube or Facebook predict our preferences, showing us more of what we want, but also more of what they want us to see. In this way, the autonomy we experience is increasingly mediated by unseen forces that direct and influence our behavior. This is where the dialectical contradiction surfaces. Autonomy, the thesis, is opposed by control, the antithesis. The synthesis, then, is not a simple resolution. It is the need for a critical awareness of these forces. We must cultivate an active relationship with technology, one that doesn't simply accept its given structures but questions and redefines them. The synthesis might involve creating new forms of technology that prioritize human autonomy without falling into deterministic patterns of control. This tension also has deeper philosophical implications. In the tradition of existentialism, particularly thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre, freedom is not just a given, it's something we must continually affirm. But if our choices are constantly shaped by algorithms, to what extent are we still free? This question challenges us to rethink not only technology, but also the very nature of human freedom in the digital age. The second major contradiction we must confront is the tension between privacy and connectivity. In our hyper-connected world, privacy is a concept that feels increasingly outdated. The more we engage with social media, the more we are encouraged to share ourselves, our thoughts, feelings, and even our most intimate moments. In one sense, this connectivity is empowering. It allows us to build networks of solidarity, to express our identities, and to participate in a global dialogue. In this sense, technology amplifies our sense of belonging. It creates communities that transcend geographic, cultural, and even temporal boundaries. But the dialectical contradiction here is glaring. As we become more connected, we become more exposed. Our data, our conversations, our preferences are no longer just our own. They are extracted, commodified, and often used in ways we don't fully understand. The very systems that connect us also strip away the privacy that once defined our individual autonomy. This brings us to a central existential issue. Martin Heidegger, in his exploration of technology, spoke of the enframing of human beings. The idea that technology reveals the world in a way that reduces it to mere resources to be used and exploited. What does it mean to be human when everything about us, our thoughts, our desires, our bodies, becomes part of a system that treats us as data points to be measured, controlled, and sold? The synthesis here isn't simply a matter of choosing between privacy and connectivity, but recognizing that both are necessary for a balanced human existence. Connectivity without privacy leads to a loss of authenticity, while privacy without connectivity leads to isolation. The dialectic invites us to find a new way of connecting that also respects our right to autonomy and secrecy. Now let's confront the deeper existential and ontological question. What happens to human identity when technology becomes an integral part of who we are? In the past, philosophers like Hegel and Marx suggested that human identity is shaped through social and material processes, through the labor we perform, the relationships we form, and the structures we engage with. But today, our relationships are increasingly mediated by technology. In this context, identity is no longer something fixed or grounded in nature. It becomes a dynamic, shifting construct that is constantly influenced by technological forces. Michel Foucault, the French philosopher, argued that power doesn't just act on us from the outside, it operates through subtle, pervasive means. It produces us, shapes our desires, and molds our very sense of self. In the digital age, we can see this power playing out in the ways technology molds our self-conception. Our sense of identity is increasingly defined by how we are perceived and categorized by algorithms. Our digital footprint, our online actions, and even the images we project to the world become the data points that define us. Hegel's dialectical process is useful here. In a world where our identity is no longer simply something we possess, but is shaped through external technological forces, we are constantly negotiating between the self we know and the self that is projected, curated, and even created through digital interfaces. This tension between the I and the other, the digital self, is the dialectical struggle of our time. The synthesis here, however, may not be a loss of self, but a transformation. We are no longer isolated beings with fixed identities, but fluid, dynamic individuals who are simultaneously shaped by and shaping the technological world around us. Technology, in this view, becomes a medium through which human identity evolves. In the end, the dialectical nature of technology and human identity asks us to confront the contradictions that shape our lives in this digital age. Technology offers us the promise of greater autonomy, connection, and self-expression. Yet it also challenges us with new forms of control, surveillance, and the erosion of privacy. Our identities, once thought to be rooted in an inner core of selfhood, are increasingly fragmented, shaped not only by our actions but by the machines that mediate our existence. Rather than resisting these contradictions, the dialectical approach invites us to navigate them, to recognize that technology does not simply define us, but that we can in turn define our relationship with technology. The challenge is to create a new synthesis, one where technology serves human flourishing rather than diminishing it, where we reclaim the freedom to shape our identities in a world that constantly seeks to reshape them for us. What does all this mean for you as a person living in the digital world? How do you negotiate the tensions between autonomy and control, privacy and connectivity, or the digital self and the embodied self? Let's continue this conversation in the comments below. If you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more philosophical explorations of the world we live in today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.